Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardha Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardha Hari Yashodanandana Rajadanandana Yashodanandana Rajadanandana Jamuna Tiravanachari Jamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardha Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardha Hari Yashodanandana Rajadanandana Yashodanandana Rajadanandana Jamuna Tiravanachari Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Jai Gaurakinandi Daim Shupada Paramahamsa Tri Vratika Stotra Satta Sri Simar His Divine Grace Shilabai Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Nanta Koti Vaishnava Vrind Ki Skandibiti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakti Vrind Ki Hari Nam Sankirtan Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaur Pimanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurandaritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhuktale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Sya Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusuti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Vipasindu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Dharam Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the Supremest Human Being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayashabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee. All that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Tamasloka Charitam Sakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Anyam Swastaya Namaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Granthara, as the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabjaya Namaha. Om Sarabjaya Namaha. Om Sarabjaya Namaha. Mukam karoti vasalam pangum langayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam yatkripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our daily Bhagavatam class. We continue from canto number 2, chapter 3, entitled Pure Devotional Service, and today we're reading text number 14. Etat Shushrushatam Vidvan Suta No Arhasi Bhashitum Katha Hari Kathodarkaha Satam Syuhu Tadasi Dhrubam Etat Shushrushatam Vidvan Sata Norhasi Bhashitum Katha Hari Katodharkaha Satam Syu Sadasi Dhruvam Etat Shushrushatam Vidvan Sutanor Bhashitum Katha Hari Katodharkaha Satam Syu Sadasi Dhruvam Etat Shushrushatam Vidvan Sutanor Bhashitum Katha Hari Katodharkaha Satam Syu Sadasi Dhruvam. Etat Shushrushatam Vidvan Satannorhasi Bhashitum Kata Hari Kato Dharkaha Tatam Syu Sadasi Dhruvam Etat this Shushrushatam of those eager to hear Vidvan O learned Sutta Sutta Goswami Naha unto us Arhasi may you do it Bhashitum just to explain it Kataha topics Hari Kata Adarkaha Hari Kata Udarkaha result in the topics of the Lord Satam of the devotees you may be Sadasi in the assembly of Dhruvam certainly. Translation and purport by the Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. O learned Sutta Goswami, please continue to explain such topics to us because we are all eager to hear. Besides that, topics which result in the discussion of the Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees. Kindly repeat after me. O learned Sutta Goswami, please continue to explain such topics to us because we are all eager to hear. Besides that, topics which result in the discussion of the Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees. Report. As we have already quoted above from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Rupa Goswami, even mundane things, if dovetailed in the service of the Lord Sri Krishna, are accepted as transcendental. For example, the epics or the histories of Ramayana and Mahabharata, which are specifically recommended for the less intelligent classes, women, Shudras, and unworthy sons of the higher castes, are also accepted as Vedic literature because they are compiled in connection with the activities of the Lord. Mahabharata is accepted as the fifth division of the Vedas after its first four divisions, namely Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva. The less intelligent do not accept Mahabharata as part of the Vedas, but great sages and authorities accept it as the fifth division of the Vedas. Bhagavad Gita is also part of the Mahabharata, and it is full of the Lord's instruction for the less intelligent class of men. Some less intelligent men say that Bhagavad Gita is not meant for householders. But such foolish men forget that Bhagavad Gita was explained to Arjuna, a grihastha, family man, and spoken by the Lord in his role as a grihastha. So Bhagavad Gita, although containing the high philosophy of of the Vedic wisdom, is for the beginners in the transcendental science. And Srimad Bhagavatam is for graduates and postgraduates in the material, in the transcendental science. Therefore, literatures like Mahabharata, the Puranas, and similar other literatures, which are full of the pastimes of the Lord, are all transcendental literatures, and they should be discussed with full confidence in the society of great devotees. The difficulty is that such literatures, when discussed by professional men, appear appear to be mundane literature, like histories or epics, because there are so many historical facts and figures. It is said here, therefore, that such literature should be discussed in the assembly of of devotees, unless they are discussed by devotees. Such literatures cannot be relished by the higher class of men. So the conclusion is that the Lord is not impersonal in the ultimate issue. He is the Supreme Person, and he has his different activities. He is the leader of all living entities, and he descends at will. He descends at his will and by his personal energy to reclaim the fallen souls. Thus, he plays exactly like the social, political, or religious leaders, because such roles ultimately culminate in the discussion of topics of the Lord. All such preliminary topics are also transcendental. That is the way of spiritualizing the civic activities of human society. Men have inclinations for studying history and many other mundane literatures, stories, fiction, dramas, magazines, newspapers, etc. So let them be dovetailed with the transcendental service of the Lord, and all of them will turn to the topics relished by all the devotees. The the propaganda that the Lord is impersonal, that he has no activity, and that he is a dumb stone without any name and form, has encouraged people to become godless, faithless, faithless demons. And the more they deviate from the transcendental activities of the Lord, the more they become accustomed to mundane topics that only deal, that only clear, rather, that only clear their path to hell instead of returning them home back to Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam begins from the history of the Pandavas with necessary politics and social activities, and yet Srimad Bhagavatam is said to be the Paramahamsa Samhita, or the Vedic literature meant for the most transcendentalists, and it is describes and it describes Param Jnanam, the highest transcendental knowledge. Pure devotees of the Lord are all Paramahamsas, and they are like the swans who know the art of sucking milk out of a mixture of milk and water. Translation again to text 14. O learned Sutta Goswami, please continue to explain such topics to us, because we are all eager to hear. Besides that, topics which result in the discussion of the Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees. So this is what we endeavor to do every day, especially during Bhagavatam class. The topics, transcendental subject matters are meant to be discussed, especially amongst devotees who are, as mentioned here, eager to hear, who want to understand, who want to know more about so many subject matters. And Prabhupada is making reference to the Mahabharata, which was up until not so long ago, both Mahabharata and Ramayana were like the favorite topics that the people would be discussing and would be hearing. Prabhupada is making an important point here, how even though Mahabharata is not the original Vedic literature, it is considered here as the fifth division of the Vedas, because it is dealing. Actually, it's interesting how in the Satsandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami, he very, very much glorifies the Mahabharata. Because although there's a lot of like seemingly mundane topics, the main thread, the main theme is in relation to Krishna, isn't it? And so in this way, Mahabharata is also an important literature, and especially because Bhagavad Gita is hidden, tucked away in the Mahabharata, and it is directly the Supreme Lord who is speaking and giving instruction to Arjuna. Prabhupada making an interesting point here that some people say Bhagavad Gita is not for householders. I don't know. I have not heard that kind of argument, but as Prabhupada points out, it's spoken to a householder by someone. I mean, Krishna was playing uh, the role of householder also at that time, having completed his pastimes in Vrindavan and Mathura, and having gone to Dwarka, where so it's very interesting how in the seventh canto of the Bhagavatam, when Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking to Narada Muni, who's visiting him, is telling him, I'm a fallen householder. This Yudhishthira Maharaj speaking. He's not a fallen householder, but he thinks himself or considers himself out of humility of a fallen householder. So he's requesting Narada Muni to explain to him, to speak on the subject matter of dharma. And so for 5 chapters, actually, Narada Muni is very excited and very eager to speak about dharma. And but Narada Muni, we know, he is like, as was described in the previous chapter, he's like the transcendental spaceman traveling everywhere and giving an opportunity for people to become devotees. So he is totally renounced. So before he starts to explain to Yudhishthira Maharaj, he tells him that actually I will simply reveal to you or share with you what I have heard from Lord Narayan, isn't it? So because sometimes, just like here, this one argument, so many arguments are presented at times. This argument that Bhagavad Gita is for householders. Other argument is that brahmacharis or householders, not householders, brahmacharis and sannyasis, what they will speak, what they know about householder life. They're not householders. What they will speak about householders, how they can give guidance to householders. So Narada Muni is making the point that I've heard from the most expert householder, Krishna, who is the most experienced in all matters, in all affairs, and when you're married to 16,108 wives, you become very expert in the subject matter of householder life. So therefore, we should understand that these topics are completely transcendental, and that all that we need to learn, or all that we need to understand to live our lives properly, and again, both on the spiritual as well as the material level, it is there in the Vedic literatures. And even though there are, we can say, material subject matters in the Shastras, those who have written about these, just like, the topic of agriculture. Agriculture, when they say, well, that's why even speak about agriculture? This, This is material, but we know in the Vedas that it is sages or rishis who have written the science of that. It's a science. Just everything is a science, actually, and and everything is performed also in relation or in connection with Krishna. Just like previously, before sowing the seeds, one would perform some jagya. Uh, one would understand that Bhumi is our mother. So there's the whole different uh, consciousness when we study so-called material subject matters from the Vedic literatures, because they keep, or they give that connection with the with the Supreme Lord, and which means that same point Prabhupada is making here. Anything that is so-called material, as soon as we make that connection or utilize it in Krishna service, it becomes spiritualized. So in this way, this is the science that Prabhupada was referring to that a few days back in explaining what our Goswamis have written about also this Yukta Vairagya. So that means that for a devotee, once we understand this basic concept, we wherever we may be situated, including in household or grihas ashram, when we perform all of those activities in householder life as they are recommended in the Shastra, then we are uh, we are not engaged in so-called material uh, material activities. And so this point, few of these points are being mentioned here. Yeah. And let's see, at the end here, Prabhupada is explaining the nature or the exalted position of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam begins from the history of the Pandavas with necessary politics. Necessary politics means politics are necessary, but Krishna is known as the greatest politician, isn't it? Yeah. But politics based on based on dharma, isn't it? So something that is completely absent in modern day society, and therefore the very word politics has also become like a bad word, or we say a dirty word. We say dirty politics. Dirty politics. But here Prabhupada is nicely mentioning necessary politics. There's necessary politics and also necessary social activities. We don't live in a vacuum. We live with other people. We have to manage and arrange our lives in relation with other people, etc. And then Prabhupada explains here, and yet Srimad Bhagavatam is said to be the Paramahamsa Samhita, or the Vedic literature meant for the topmost transcendentalists. Main reason being that it describes this Param Gyanam, topmost transcendental knowledge. Yeah. So I'll just read the text again here. O learned Sutta Goswami, please continue to explain such topics to us because we are all eager to hear. Besides that, topics which result in the discussion of the Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees. Yeah. Is there any comment on this? Of course. Yeah.
Not on this. Like Varnashram Dharma, how can a person living in the city can start doing about Varnashram Dharma and how can he contribute to it?
How can a person living in the city
know about Varnashram Dharma?
know about Varnashram?
No one knows what is Varnashram.
Well, in the city, wherever we are living, we should know about Dharma, isn't it? That's the first point. And to actually properly and more fully or completely know about Dharma, we should also understand what is Varnasrama Dharma, right? One can know and learn about Varnasrama Dharma and as much as possible live according to those principles of Varnasrama Dharma by hearing from personalities like Narada Muni, as we were discussing a little earlier. But Prabhupada did mention that we can say the full, more complete application of Varnasrama Dharma is more easily done in village, in rural community. But the basic principles of Varnasrama Dharma can also be followed wherever one may be living. And because the essence of Varnasrama Dharma is to dovetail and connect all of our activities to Krishna and devotional service. And even in the cities, now what is becoming, in Varnasrama Dharma actually, part of the way in which more easily we can connect with Krishna is to connect with Krishna's nature, or material nature, by appreciating that material nature, by, for example, by being connected with Mother Earth, by understanding how important and essential it is to protect the earth, to protect the cows as well, because Mother Earth, there's that very close, intimate connection with both of them. Householders or anyone living in the city every day has to eat. So, what, where we should get our food from, what kind of a devotee is meant to be more conscious about what he offers to the Lord, because everything that we do is for the pleasure and satisfaction of Krishna. So we should be concerned about getting pure food, wholesome food, organic food, which is not at all something easy in most cities, right? We should also be a part of cooking. For example, we should be cooking with ghee. Uh, where do you get ghee? So when we produce our own food, when we live in the country, the, there we have opportunity to grow our own food. We have opportunity to keep cows and to have different milk products. And so we are living closer to nature, more in harmony with nature, which helps us to also uh, gradually learn to live more in harmony with Krishna, because we understand that it is his nature. Uh, of course, the situation presently is not making it at all easy for, I would say, the majority of our devotees to live in that way. Uh, but one can take different measures. For example, uh, close by, find out, just like at least in Mumbai, Talasari is there. There's a farm community not so far away. So our devotees should make that connection, actually. Um, Even wherever you are living, even if you have, just like here, we have a small balcony. So anywhere, practically, even in a high-rise apartment, everybody has at least a small balcony, can grow something there to have that connection or that contact, and to have at least a few produce that you are growing yourself. Uh, make keep contact, especially with like-minded devotees who understand uh, that there's so many important aspects in the context of Varnasrama Dharma, and so in this way, the more you connect with persons who are understanding about the more simplified way of doing things. Uh, at least, as you were mentioning, once a month, you're planning to do go puja somewhere. You have to find out uh, where. Even in big cities, in some places, some temples may have a small goshala, right? So like this, even that means wherever one may be staying, uh, if he hears regularly from Bhagavatam, because the subject matter comes up um, again and again, the subject matter of Varnasrama Dharma, and in some sections of the Bhagavatam, there are more elaborate descriptions and instructions being given, isn't it? So by reading and becoming familiar with these instructions, then to the best of your ability, you can apply that in your situation. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, like that. Yeah.
I had heard once that it is not good to leave your body at home.
It is not good to leave your body at home.
Yeah, it is good to go in Dham or some far place away from home and leave your body.
It is not good to leave your body at home if you think your home is your home. But if in your home you have regular devotional spiritual activities, if your home is if you understand your home not to be your home, but to be, Krishna, because everything belongs to Krishna, and that you are Krishna's servant, maintaining that so-called home, then one can leave the body uh, uh, that instruction is given actually in the Shastra. One should not leave because when we generally, ordinary people, karmis, uh, home means a source of attachment, you know. Just like we have pictures on the wall here, they're all connected with Krishna. But you go to an ordinary home, and what pictures do you find on the wall? Not very inspiring, you know. It's all about, I mean, it's all about family life and relatives and this and that and mundane, right? Mundane. So there's no, so therefore, that injunction is especially for those who are what is called grihamedi. So householder means he has a choice of being either a grihamedi or a grihasta. Grihamedi are those who are simply attached to material uh, concepts of life and basically engaged in activities of sense gratification, whereas a grihasta has a proper transcendental uh, knowledge and understanding, and he has knowledge of these two levels of dharma, spiritual swadharma, material swadharma, and he knows how to manage both of them. Yeah. Generally, grihamedis are devoid of spiritual knowledge and are also devoid of material knowledge in terms of dharma. So therefore, devotee, anyone who's a devotee, wherever he may be, that place is not a mundane place or ordinary place, and therefore, one is not one who's a devotee is much less concerned about where to leave the body, when to leave the body. Generally, anyways, it's not in our hands. We may think, but yeah, for those who are not devotees, it is recommended to leave one's home and to be in either a holy dham or in the association of devotees, because wherever devotees are, that place becomes purified, isn't it? So that should not be a major concern, as long as you keep chanting Hare Krishna. And yeah, okay. So we can close for now. Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Sri Prabhupada ki, Gaura Premanande.